children, today we are going to do our fourth chapter, that is The Tree Lover by Ruskin Bond. So let's see. I was never able to get over the feeling that plants and trees loved grandfather with the same tenderness that he showed towards them. That means in this, a narrator tells about his grandfather, that how he loves plants in the garden or forest, anywhere. So what is tenderness? Tenderness given to sympathy or sentimentality. So one morning while I was sitting beside him on the veranda steps, I noticed the tendril of a creeping vine trailing across the steps. Creeping vine means जो बेल होती है, that is creepers. So when he was sitting with his grandfather, he saw that creeper there. So what happens? I saw the tendril moving very slowly towards grandfather. We gazed at it in fascination. 20 minutes later, it had crossed the steps and was touching grandfather's feet. That means उसको देख के बड़ा अचंभा हुआ कि किस तरह से एक बेल उसके ग्रैंडफादर की तरफ को अट्रैक्ट हो रही है. There is a probability of scientific explanation for the plant's behavior, something to do with light or warmth. ये हमें पता है कि plants are always attracted towards light and warmth, but in this it is different. But I liked to think that it moved across the steps simply because it wanted to be near grandfather. So one always felt like drawing close to him. Sometimes when I sat by myself beneath a tree, I would feel rather lonely. But as soon as grandfather joined me, the garden became a happy place and the tree itself more friendly. It means that जब भी ये लड़का अकेले बैठता है तो उसे बड़ा अजीब लगता है, बोरिंग लगता है. But when he was sitting with his father in the garden, grandfather had served many years in India and it was natural that he should know and understand and like trees. So on his retirement, he had built a bungalow on the outskirts of the town Dehra. Outskirts means outlying or bordering areas. So there he has made that, planting trees all around it, lime, mango, orange, like this, guava, all trees were there. So grandfather was about 60, a lean active man who still rode bicycle at good speed. He had stopped climbing trees only the year before. That means in this age he used to climb trees. So amazing. He had got the top of the jackfruit tree and was unable to come down. He would had to fetch a ladder for him. That means so interesting. Grandfather bathed fairly often but usually got back into his gardening. Close immediately after the bath. That means after taking bath, he comes to garden for gardening. So what happens there? During meals, ladybugs or caterpillars would sometimes walk off his shirt sleeves and wander about on the tablecloth, and this always annoyed Granny. यानी जब भी वो बाहर से आता था तो उनकी शर्ट पर या टेबल क्लॉथ पर वहाँ पर क्या है, ये लेडी बग्स वगैरह दिखाई देते थे. एंड दैट अनॉयड ग्रैनी, यानी इस वजह से ग्रैनी क्या है, परेशान हो जाती थी. ग्रैनी डिड नॉट माइंड ट्रीज बट शी प्रेफर्ड her flowers garden and was always writing letters, ordering seeds and all, because she loved gardening. In turn, grandfather loved flowers. Why? Because flowers attract butterflies and he liked butterflies very much. So because of that he did gardening. Father wasn't content with planting trees just in our compound during the rains. That means beyond that, he loved planting trees, not cutting trees. He told that अगर trees को हम cut करेंगे for timber or another use, that means we should plant in turn the trees. अगर आप plants को या trees को काटते हो तो उसके बदले में उगाओ भी. That was his main motto, right? The image of world without trees because of short nightmare to me one reason with child. That means उसे सपने में आता था ये कि इस तरह का ना हो. I shall never want to set foot on the treeless moon. यानी कि वो नहीं चाहता था कि उसको ट्रीलेस मून यानी कि ऐसी जगह मिले जहाँ पर ट्रीज ना हो. He don't like that. So we found an island, a small rocky island in middle of dry river bed, so common in the foothills, which were completely dry in summer, but flooded during the monsoon rains. यानी वैसे तो ड्राई रहते हैं लेकिन मानसून रेन्स के टाइम पे वो बहुत ज़्यादा फ्लडी हो जाते. A small mango tree was growing in the middle of the island, and grandfather said, if a mango can grow here, so can other trees. मतलब अगर मैंगो ट्री यहाँ उग सकता है आइलैंड पे तो और भी ट्रीज उग सकते हैं. So as soon as the rain set in while the river could still be crossed, we set out with a number of magnolia, laburnum, Persian, lilac and coral tree saplings and cuttings, and spent the day planting them on the island. That means on that island they wanted to plant trees. The monsoon season was the time of rambling about. Okay, what is rambling here? Rambling means often or habitually roaming, right? Somewhere idhar udhar ghumna. At every turn there was something new to see. Out of the earth and rock and leafless bough, the magic touch of the rain brought life and greenness. So if you want to live in a tree, it's all right by me, said Granny. But I like having a roof over my head, and I am not going to have my roof brought down by the jungle. When World War II came, I was sent to a boarding school on hill station during the holidays. I went to live in Delhi with my father, who was then serving in the Royal Air Force, and he told me that my grandparents had sold the house and gone to England. 2 or 3 years later, I was sent to England and was away from India for several years. But as a young man, I was in Dehra again. And after first visiting my grandfather's old house, that means I walked out of town towards the riverbed. It was February, and as I looked across the dry watercourse, my eye was immediately caught by a spectacular. You know what is spectacular? Spectacular is impressive or sensational, right? Red plums of the coral bosom in contrast with the dry river bed. The island was a small green paradise. That means it was just like a paradise. Paradise मतलब एक स्वर्ग की तरह, heaven की तरह. I walked across to the tree over the fallen petals of sweet scented magnolia. In the blossoms, I noticed that number of squirrels, बहुत प्यारी प्यारी गिलहरियाँ, had come to live in the bigger trees, and a quail or a crow challenged me with a mellow, "Who are you? Who are you?" ऐसा लगा जैसे वो मुझसे पूछ रहे हैं मैं कौन हूँ. But the trees seemed to know me. They whispered among themselves and called me nearer. That means अब प्यार दिखता है पौधों और plants वगैरह trees के बीच. And looking around, I noticed this other small trees and wild plants and grasses had sprung up under the protection of the trees we had planted long ago. यानी कि उस टाइम पे जो ट्रीज प्लांट हुए थे, नाउ ही इज थिंकिंग ऑफ दैट कि वो टाइम पे जो प्लांट्स उन्होंने उगाए थे वो आज कितने बड़े ट्रीज हो गए हैं. द नरेटर इज थिंकिंग अबाउट दिस. यस, आवर ट्रीज हैड मल्टीप्लाइड. दैट मीन्स मल्टीप्लिकेशन क्यों कहा यहाँ पे? क्योंकि एक ट्रीज से कितने सारे ट्रीज बन गए. दे वर वॉकिंग अगेन in one small corner of the world. Grandfather's dream had come true and the trees were on the march. That means what dream was that time taken by his grandfather has come true now. That means जो सपना उस टाइम पे उनके नरेटर के ग्रैंडफादर ने देखा था, that was there now. यानी कि वो पूरा हो गया है. यानी कि उनका प्यार जो प्रकृति के प्रति था, the nature he loved that time, really is seeing in this nature, right? So that's all in this video. Thank you for watching the video.